Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe, but today is Sunday, so as always, we are doing breaches of the week. This week in breaches, 80% of it was PowerSchool. We're going to talk about them near the end, but we have so many big companies that were hit this year, or this week, as well, that we really want to talk about all of this. But as always, I want to start with the people that sent me a chunk of this information. It always helps me out. And so thank you very much to Tim Warren, Lisa Long, Anthony Ho, and Don Lohman. And with that, let's dive in and give you an update on United Health. If you recall, this was a massive and early data breach in 2024, but now United Health is confirming that essentially 190 million of us were impacted. If you recall, about 1/3 of all pharmacy patients in 2024 were disrupted from getting prescriptions, etc., due to how big the Change Healthcare, which is owned by United Health, how big that breach was. So here we are. That's absolutely crazy. 190 million of us confirmed. The lawsuits have been flying fast and furious. And with that, let's talk about our mini segment right out of the gate. Basically, with our mini segment entitled, If You Just Spent Money on Cybersecurity, You Wouldn't Be Getting Sued, You Wouldn't Be Losing Your Reputation, and I definitely wouldn't be talking about you right now. And with that, let's talk about Eskenazi Health, because they were accused of failing to prevent a data breach that compromised customers' information, including names, social security numbers, addresses, health information, date of birth, driver's license numbers, etc. Now, they're paying out $2.5 million, and people whose information was compromised during this data breach can be class action members. Eskenazi Health allegedly informed individuals on November 11, 2021 of this. So the wheels of justice turn slowly, but go get paid if you belong or are a patient to Eskenazi Health. Moving on, MU Healthcare, the plaintiffs in a 2020 lawsuit over that data breach, filed an unopposed motion for approval of a class action settlement in the case this past Tuesday. And basically in October of 2024, Judge Benjamin Miller granted preliminary approval. And so essentially unopposed, it looks like they're going to be settling, in which case MU Healthcare is going to have damages, and we'll see how much they're going to pay. Moving on, PayPal, yes, the giant PayPal essentially is going to pay $2 million in penalties after a December 2022 cybersecurity incident that leaked thousands of social security numbers, and this is according to New York state regulators this past Thursday. Now, the fine will settle violations of New York's financial cybersecurity regulation that mandate companies like PayPal, quote, use qualified personnel to manage key cybersecurity functions, end quote, and adequately train staff to address cyber risks. And this is according to Adrian Harris, the superintendent of the New York State Department of Financial Services, or DFS. In other words, PayPal was playing fast and loose. I don't know who was running their security, but apparently it wasn't professionals according to them. So we'll see what happens there. Moving on, let's talk about Professional Finance Company. It's the most generic name ever. Anyway, they agreed to basically settle a class action that alleged negligence for failing to implement reasonable and adequate security controls. And essentially, they're based out of Greeley, Colorado. They suffered a ransomware attack on February 26 of 2022. The attack was blocked, but not in time to prevent unauthorized access. They are basically settling their class action for $2.5 million. Moving on, Enzo Biochem. According to regulatory filings, Enzo Biochem determined on April 11, 2023, that there have been unauthorized access to clinical test information of 2,470,000 individuals. They have settled their ransomware claim and class action for $7.5 million. So heads up if you're one of the almost 2.5 caught up in Enzo Biochem. And with that, that's who's getting sued, that's who's paying out. And if they had just spent money on cybersecurity, they wouldn't be getting sued and they wouldn't be losing their reputations. And with that, let's talk about another reputation damage, and that's Bank of America. Yes, one of the largest banks here in the United States. They just confirmed a data breach involving a third-party software provider, sound familiar, that led to exposure of sensitive customer data. Now, here's what happened. According to a filing earlier this month, an unidentified third-party software provider discovered unauthorized access into their infrastructure back in October. This breach did not directly impact Bank of America's systems, but the data of at least 414 customers is now at risk. They probably have millions of customers, so it's a very low percentage. Nevertheless, here we are, and this data pertained to mortgage loans, and the compromised data includes what you'd expect: names, social security, address, phone numbers, passport numbers, loan numbers. Basically, you're giving a lot of sensitive information on filling out a mortgage. And so here we are. The bank is currently notifying those that are affected. But heads up, if you got your mortgage through Bank of America, you may be entitled to compensation, all 0.001% of you. Moving on, HP Enterprise. Again, big companies this week. Now, basically, threat actors said they have stolen data from HPE's network. Now, this is actually an update because they were originally denying this a while back. Now, Intel Broker, if you're a longtime listener or follower of me, you know I've talked about Intel Broker on Breaches of the Week for quite some time now. Basically, they've been active since 2022. They claim responsibility on breach forums for hitting HP Enterprise, and basically said they had access to HPE's API, WePay, private and public GitHub repositories, Zerto and ILO, that's integrated lights out, source code, and old user information, and more. Obviously, if they're getting access to that kind of stuff, they can find multiple ways to basically exploit vulnerabilities to get into everything. And ILO, for the record, is integrated into basically every HP ProLiant server out there, so that's awesome. Moving on. PFS Investments, not to basically be confused with the Perfect Financial people. These guys go as Primerica. Now on January 17th of this year, they filed with Massachusetts after discovering unauthorized access into their network. They said sensitive information was hit, including names, social security numbers, financial account information, and driver's license. Primerica is now sending out letters to those affected. Moving on, E&M Insurance on January 17, they also filed, but with Vermont, after discovering that they had been compromised via their email system. E&M Insurance explained sensitive information was hit. I do not have a list, but E&M is sending out notices to those impacted. Moving on, Newport Harbor Pathology. Now, Newport Harbor Pathology Medical Group, aka Orange County Medical Group, aka Mission Laguna Pathology Medical Group, aka Bar Topology, what is pathology? I don't know what that is, but they go by NHPMG, North Harbor Pathology. They filed with Health and Human Services. Obviously, they're based in California, given these names, right? Anyway, they filed with Health and Human Services, Office of Civil Rights, after unauthorized party got into their network. They explained that basically names, social security numbers, dates of birth, address, medical information, driver's license numbers, and health insurance information was caught up. They are sending out letters as well. I'm not going to say all those names again. Moving on. Kodak Behavioral Health on January 17, they filed with Massachusetts after discovering unauthorized access into their network. They explained sensitive information was hit. We're talking names, dates of birth, medical information, health insurance information, medical record numbers, and social security numbers as well. They are sending out notices as well. Cabrillo College, or specifically Community College District, is basically letting impacted students know that information stored within the college's infrastructure may have been compromised in 2024. Apparently that happened on May 14th of last year, and now they are declaring. I don't have much more information on that just yet, but heads up to you if you are a student or teacher at Professor Cabrillo Community College District. Moving on. I'm going to give you an update on RI Bridges. This is Rhode Island Bridges, and quite frankly, this was a mess a couple of weeks ago, but heads up Rhode Islanders who use the state's online portal for benefits and health insurance information, you will soon now be able to access your account, and this is according to Rhode Island officials. This past Thursday, Governor Dan McGee and members of his cabinet held a press conference to give users a heads up about what to expect as they prepare to relaunch the Healthy Road customer portal. Cyber attacks are never fun, and if you are out of benefits for an extended period of time as a result, obviously that is a direct impact, financial impact to Rhode Islanders. So good luck to all of you. And finally, and the reason why this is a shorter week, because usually these videos and podcasts go, and radio segments go like half an hour, it's all PowerSchool. Like 80% of what I was looking for, just page after page after page of Google as I'm recording these take me hours to put together, is like 80% of these breaches. And I've been continuing to track PowerSchool since day one, basically ever compiling a list of the schools impacted so I can bring them to you here. And we've got new schools that are declaring. And so let's start right out of the gate with a better look at the data that is out there. Because now that we have multiple schools declaring, and essentially putting out what is being hit, we now have a good look at essentially what we're looking at. So if you have a student basically in a school district, or a school district that uses PowerSchool rather, heads up, because so far some of this is specific, some of this is generic, but we've got first, middle, and last names hit, date of birth, gender, health card numbers for those that have health cards. Canada, I'm looking at you. Grade level and school information, start end date of a student, Ontario education number, obviously for those in the province of Ontario, Canada, EQAO accommodation information. I have no idea what that means. Medical information such as allergies, conditions, injuries, etc. Home addresses, home phone numbers, TDSB student number, and TDSB student email. I'm guessing that's a specific district. First Nations, Metis, and Inuit information, obviously for First Nations, mostly Canada. Residency status, principal and vice principal notes, including discipline notes on students as well. So obviously this is pretty comprehensive, and we're going to start to see more specific, student ID for district A, B, or C, but that's what's been basically compiled so far. Again, it takes me forever to go through these. And of course, the class actions are starting. So, a recent class action filed this past Friday in U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of California on behalf of a parent, Chandrell Oconee, basically claimed that her child was impacted by this incident. And since PowerSchool's data breach came to light, what I can find, there's at least 4 class action lawsuits that have already been filed, with obviously more coming. So, again, I'm going to keep you up to date on this. On top of it, PowerSchool announced Friday, January 17th, that they had contracted with Experian to offer identity protection and credit monitoring services, to all the students and educators who were involved. And with that, the ever-growing list of school breaches continues by declaration by school district. And here are the new ones that I could find in various Google searches. There was not as many as I thought, but there are a few. And so with that, let's start in alphabetical order. First up is Alabama, and apparently the Alabama Department of Education itself, like the State Department of Education, got hit. Not just the school district, but the actual people that run the schools in the state of Alabama. On top of it, California had a new disclosure with Menlo Park City School District. I believe that's around Silicon Valley because Menlo Park is up there. On top of it, Colorado, we had Summit County School District. Sounds like they're on a mountain. Massachusetts had Hadley School District. Nebraska had a declaration basically by the Catholic Church, the diocese out there, that multiple Catholic schools across the state of Nebraska were impacted by that as well. So heads up if you've got kids in Catholic school there. North Carolina, this is a big one for North Kakalaka. Charlotte Mecklenburg has now declared, which is the largest city in the state. Pennsylvania, Ferndale area school district. In Virginia, Hanover County schools have declared. And in the state of Washington, Seattle and Everett are basically putting points on the board for Washington State. First up that we've seen thus far. Seattle obviously being the biggest city in that state as well, and one of the largest in the United States. So obviously this is huge. In Canada, we just had more disclosures by the I've talked about them, Toronto School District, about more information and et cetera, but I have not found any other school districts from any declarations of any provincial government in Canada. So we'll see what's going on there. But those were your breaches of the week. Again, PowerSchool just dominates once again, and I'll keep you up to date as we keep on rolling. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private and informed. Take care.